Did you know some Washington quarters could be worth a fortune? In this video, we're counting down the top 8 Washington quarter dollars worth thousands of dollars. From rare errors to valuable varieties, these coins could be hiding in your pocket change. Stay tuned to see if you've hit the jackpot. The 1972 D Washington quarter is part of the regular circulation strikes minted at the Denver Mint. While it does not have the same notoriety as other collectible quarters, certain errors and varieties from this year can make it highly valuable to collectors. Most rare and valuable 1972 D Washington quarter errors. 1. Double die obverse, DDO. Description: doubling on the obverse design elements due to a misaligned die. Identification: look for doubling on Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date 1972. Value: $100 to $1,000 plus, depending on visibility and the coin's condition. 2. Double die reverse, DDR. Description: doubling on the reverse design, such as a United States of America, E pluribus unum, or the Eagle's features. Identification: doubling appears as a secondary, shifted image on the reverse lettering or eagle. Value: $50 to $500, depending on prominence and grade. 3. Clipped planchette error. Description: a portion of the planchette is missing due to a misaligned blanking punch. Identification: crescent-shaped or straight-edged clips along the coin's edge. Value: $30 to $200, depending on size and severity. 4. Off-center strike. Description: the planchette is not properly aligned during striking, leaving part of the design missing. Identification: a blank portion is visible, with the degree of misalignment varying. Value: $50 to $500, with more severe off-center strikes fetching higher prices. 5. Missing clad layer. Description: one or both outer nickel layers are missing, exposing the copper core. Identification: one side of the coin appears reddish-brown. Value: $100 to $400, depending on the extent of the missing layer and overall condition. 6. Broad strike error. Description: the coin is struck outside the retaining collar, resulting in a larger diameter and a rimless appearance. Identification: the coin looks wider and has no defined rim. Value: $50 to $200, depending on size and preservation. 7. Die cracks and cuds. Description: cracks or breaks in the die cause raised lines or blobs on the coin surface. Identification: visible as irregular raised areas, often near the edges or in the eagle's wings. Value: $20 to $100, depending on size and location. 8. Wrong planchette error. Description: the coin is struck on a planchette intended for another denomination or foreign coin. Identification: weight and size differ from a standard quarter, and the design may appear incomplete. Value: $2,000 to $5,000 or more, depending on the planchette used. High value and rare examples. The most valuable errors for the 1972 D Washington quarter include the double die obverse, DDO, double die reverse, DDR, and wrong planchette errors, especially those struck on foreign or smaller planchets. These can fetch thousands of dollars at auction. For any suspected rare or error coin, professional authentication by PCGS or NGC is crucial to determine its value accurately. The 1995's P Washington quarter, minted in Philadelphia, is generally common in circulation. However, certain error varieties can make some examples quite rare and valuable to collectors. Most rare and valuable 1995's P Washington quarter errors. 1. Double die obverse, DDO. Description: doubling occurs on the obverse due to a die misalignment. Identification: look for doubling in Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date 1995. Value: $100 to $1,000 plus, depending on the visibility of the doubling and the coin's condition. 2. Double die reverse, DDR. Description: doubling appears on the reverse design, particularly in United States of America, E pluribus unum, or the Eagle's features. Identification: a shifted or doubled appearance in the lettering or eagle details. Value: $50 to $500, based on the prominence and grade. 3. Off-center strike error. Description: a blank area on the coin. The degree of misalignment determines rarity. Value: $50 to $500, with higher percentages of off-center strikes being more valuable. 4. Clipped planchette error. Description: crescent-shaped or straight-edged clips along the coin's edge. Value: $30 to $200, depending on the size and type of clip. 5. Broad strike error. Description: the edge appears flat, and the diameter is larger than normal. Value: $50 to $200, depending on size and condition. 6. Missing clad layer error. Description: one side appears reddish-brown instead of the usual silver color. Value: $100 to $400, with higher values for coins in excellent condition. 7. Die cracks and cuds. Description: cracks or breaks in the die cause raised lines or blobs on the coin. Identification: visible raised areas, often near the rim or eagle's wings. Value: $20 to $100, depending on the size and location. 8. Struck through error. Description: foreign material, such as grease or debris, interferes with the strike, creating distorted or missing design features. Identification: smooth or irregular areas on the coin where details are faint or missing. Value: $50 to $250, depending on the extent and prominence of the error. 9. Wrong planchette error. Description: the quarter is struck on a planchette intended for a different denomination, e.g., a dime or nickel, or a foreign coin. Identification: the coin's weight and size differ from a standard quarter, and the design may appear incomplete. Value: $2,000 to $5,000 plus, depending on the specific planchette used. 10. Rotated die error. Description: the obverse and reverse dies are misaligned, causing the reverse design to appear rotated when compared to the obverse. Identification: rotate the coin vertically to check for alignment issues. Value: $100 to $300, depending on the degree of rotation. Greater rotation equals higher value. The 1995's P. Washington quarter is an excellent coin to inspect for errors, as many valuable varieties can be hidden in circulation. The 1965 Washington quarter is a significant coin in U.S. numismatics, primarily due to its role in the transition from silver to cupronickel coinage. While the regular 1965 quarter is relatively common, several minting errors have made it a highly sought-after coin among collectors. These errors can dramatically increase the value of the coin, particularly for those found in circulated condition. Below are the most notable errors that can be found on 1965 Washington quarters and their potential value. 1. Off-metal errors. Off-metal errors occur when a coin is struck on a planchette, blank, that is meant for a different denomination. For the 1965 Washington quarter, this could mean being struck on a planchette intended for a dime or $half. These errors are incredibly rare and highly desirable to collectors. If a 1965 Washington quarter is struck on a wrong planchette, it could be worth between $500 and $2,000 depending on the specific error and the rarity of the planchette used. In some extreme cases, coins struck on a foreign planchette or with unusual metal composition could fetch upwards of $5,000. 2. Double die errors, double die obverse. Double die errors occur when the coin is struck twice with slightly misaligned dies, creating a doubled image. For the 1965 Washington quarter, double die errors are most commonly found on the obverse, front side of the coin, where the date, Liberty, and In God We Trust inscriptions can appear doubled. The severity of the doubling determines the value of these coins. Minor double die errors can be worth $50 to $200 in circulated condition, but more pronounced examples can fetch $1,000 or more. Stronger doubling on high-demand areas of the coin significantly increases its collectability and value. 3. Clash dies. Clash die errors occur when the dies strike each other without a coin in between, causing parts of one die to transfer onto the other. When this happens, parts of the reverse design, from the reverse die, may appear on the obverse, the front, or vice versa. Clash dies on the 1965 Washington quarter are relatively rare and highly collectible. These errors can increase a coin's value to $100 to $500 for more subtle clashes, but rare, prominent clashes can increase the value to $1,000 or more depending on the severity and uniqueness of the clash. A clash die error that is easy to see and adds a distinct feature to the coin is especially valuable. 4. Off-center strikes. Off-center strikes occur when the coin is struck off-center, causing part of the design to be cut off or missing. This happens when the planchette is not properly aligned during the striking process. For the 1965 Washington quarter, off-center errors are relatively rare and highly collectible. Mild off-center strikes can increase the coin's value to $50 to $200, but extreme cases where more than 50% of the design is missing can push the value to $1,000 or more. 5. Broad strikes. Broad strikes occur when the coin is struck outside of its collar, causing it to expand beyond its intended diameter. This results in a coin with a larger size and distorted features. Broad strikes are relatively common, but they are still valued due to their uniqueness. For the 1965 Washington quarter, broad strike errors typically range in value from $50 to $200, but in extreme cases with significant distortion, the value can reach $500 or more. Broad strikes are desirable to collectors because they present a noticeable and rare variation of a coin. 6. Die cracks and die chips. Die cracks and die chips occur when cracks or pieces of the die break off during the minting process, causing these imperfections to be stamped onto the coin. While minor die cracks or chips don't add significant value, larger cracks or chips in prominent areas of the design can increase the coin's worth. For the 1965 Washington quarter, coins with prominent die cracks or chips affecting Washington's face or the inscriptions can fetch values between $50 and $200. In some cases, if the crack or chip is substantial and noticeable, the value could rise to $300 or more. 7. Misaligned dies. Misaligned die errors occur when the dies used to strike the coin are not properly aligned, causing the design to appear shifted or distorted. Minor misalignments add little value, but if the misalignment is severe enough to cause noticeable distortion or partial design cutoff, the coin's value can increase to $50 to $200 in circulated condition. Conclusion. The 1965 Washington quarter offers collectors more than just its face value, especially when it comes to error coins. Whether it's off-metal errors, double die strikes, clash dies, or off-center strikes, these rare minting errors can significantly increase the coin's worth. In circulated condition, some of these error coins can fetch anywhere from $50 to $2,000, depending on the error type, severity, and rarity. For collectors interested in these coins, professional grading and authentication are essential to determine their true value. 1969 Washington quarter, part of the iconic series minted during the mid-20th century, has garnered attention from collectors not only for its historical significance but also for the valuable minting errors that can be found on certain examples. These errors, while rare, can significantly increase the coin's value beyond its face value, making it an exciting target for collectors. Below, we explore the most notable errors on the 1969 Washington quarter and the values they can command in circulated conditions. 1. Double die obverse. The double die obverse is one of the most desirable errors in coin collecting. This error occurs when the coin's die is struck multiple times, causing the design elements to appear doubled. On the 1969 Washington quarter, the doubling is most noticeable in the inscriptions such as Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date. A noticeable double die error can make the coin highly collectible. In general, double die obverse errors can range in value from $50 to $200 for minor cases, but coins with pronounced doubling, particularly in key areas, can fetch up to $1,000 or more, depending on the severity of the error and the condition of the coin. 2. Off-center strikes. An off-center strike occurs when the coin is struck off-center, resulting in part of the design being either missing or distorted. The degree of misalignment directly impacts the coin's value. In the case of the 1969 Washington quarter, off-center errors can range from $50 to $500 depending on how far off-center the strike is. Extreme cases, where more than half of the design is missing or distorted, can see values rise to $1,000 or higher, making these coins highly sought after by collectors. 3. Clash dies. A clash die error happens when two dies strike each other without a coin, planchette, between them. This results in design features from one die being transferred to the other die. On a 1969 Washington quarter, this can cause the coin to have faint or even visible impressions from the reverse die on the obverse. Clash dies on a 1969 Washington quarter are generally worth $50 to $500 depending on the visibility and prominence of the clash. In particularly rare or dramatic cases, a clash die coin could be worth $1,000 or more, especially if the clash is unique or strongly defined. 4. Die cracks and chips. Die cracks and chips occur when the dies themselves experience damage, resulting in cracks or chunks breaking off and appearing on the coins. On the 1969 Washington quarter, die cracks or chips can add a small premium, typically between $10 and $50 for minor examples. However, if the crack or chip is significant or affects a major part of the design, such as the portrait of George Washington, the value could rise to $100 or more. 5. Broad strikes. A broad strike occurs when a coin is struck outside its collar, causing it to spread and distort. For the 1969 Washington quarter, broad strikes are less common but can be highly collectible. Depending on the severity of the broad strike, the coin could be worth anywhere from $50 to $200, with extreme cases of distortion potentially bringing in values closer to $500 or more. Conclusion. While the standard 1969 Washington quarter has little intrinsic value beyond its face value, the error varieties discussed here, double die obverse, off-center strikes, clash dies, die cracks, and broad strikes, can substantially increase its worth. Depending on the rarity and severity of the error, the value of a 1969 Washington quarter with these imperfections could reach hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Collectors and investors alike should seek professional grading and authentication to ensure they accurately assess and protect the value of these rare coins. The 1967 Washington quarter, struck during a significant time in U.S. coinage history, is often recognized for its role in the transition from silver to cupronickel. The 1965 to 1967 quarters were the last to contain silver, with the 1967 Washington quarter being the final year in which the coin was struck in 40% silver. While the regular issue holds little premium beyond its face value, certain minting errors on the 1967 quarter make it an appealing coin to collectors, especially in circulated condition. Here are some of the most valuable errors associated with the 1967 Washington quarter. 1. Off-metal errors. Off-metal errors occur when a coin is struck on a planchette intended for a different denomination. This can happen when a 1967 Washington quarter is struck on a planchette designed for another coin, such as a dime or $half. These types of errors are rare, making them highly desirable to collectors. Off-metal errors on a 1967 quarter can be worth anywhere from $500 to $2,000, depending on the specific planchette used and the rarity of the error. 2. Double die errors, double die obverse. Double die errors happen when a coin is struck twice with misaligned dies, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. On the 1967 Washington quarter, this error is most often seen on the obverse front in the inscriptions such as Liberty, the date, and I in God We Trust. These doubled features, especially when they are clear and pronounced, can increase the value of the coin. Minor double die errors may be worth around $50 to $200, while more noticeable and well-defined examples can reach $1,000 or more. 3. Clash dies. Clash die errors occur when the dies strike each other without a planchette in between, causing parts of one die to transfer onto the other. On the 1967 Washington quarter, this can cause elements from the reverse to appear on the obverse or vice versa. Clash die errors on a 1967 quarter can add significant value to the coin, typically ranging from $50 to $500 for more subtle cases, with rarer, more prominent clashes pushing the value over $1,000. 4. Off-center strikes. Off-center strikes happen when the coin is struck off-center, causing part of the design to be missing or cut off. The 1967 Washington quarter is no exception to this type of error. Off-center errors are generally valued between $50 and $500, depending on the severity of the error. In extreme cases, where more than 50% of the design is missing, the value can exceed $1,000. 5. Broad strikes. A broad strike occurs when a coin is struck outside of its collar, causing it to expand beyond its normal size and distort its features. Broad strikes are visually interesting and are relatively rare. For the 1967 Washington quarter, broad strikes generally range from $50 to $200, though particularly large examples can be worth $500 or more depending on the extent of the distortion. Conclusion. The 1967 Washington quarter, while not particularly valuable in its regular issue, can become highly collectible and valuable due to minting errors. Off-metal errors, double die strikes, clash dies, off-center strikes, and broad strikes are among the most sought-after varieties. Coins with these errors can command prices ranging from $50 to several $1,000s, depending on the rarity and severity of the error. For collectors, it's essential to have error coins professionally graded and authenticated by a trusted service to determine their true value. The 1982 D Washington quarter, minted at the Denver Mint, is part of the larger series of quarters that feature George Washington's portrait on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. Although the 1982 D quarter is a fairly common coin in circulation, several types of minting errors can increase its value dramatically. Here is an overview of the most notable errors and their potential value in circulated conditions. 1. Double die obverse. A double die obverse occurs when the dies are misaligned, causing the design to be struck more than once, leading to doubled images on the coin. On the 1982 D Washington quarter, double die errors may appear on the inscriptions Liberty or In God We Trust, or even on Washington's portrait. These errors can be valuable, with minor cases being worth around $50 to $200. In rarer, stronger cases where the doubling is highly pronounced, the value can rise to $500 or more, depending on the condition and demand. 2. Off-center strikes. An off-center strike happens when the coin is struck improperly, causing the design to be misaligned and part of the design to be missing. Off-center errors can be quite valuable, with prices typically ranging from $50 to $300 for minor off-center strikes. However, in more extreme cases where the coin is struck more than 50% off-center, the value can exceed $1,000 depending on the severity and how much of the design is missing. 3. Clash dies. A clash die error occurs when the coin dies strike each other without a planchette between them, transferring design elements from one die to the other. On the 1982 D Washington quarter, clash die errors may cause faint or visible impressions of the reverse design, e.g., the eagle, to appear on the obverse. Clash die coins are generally worth between $50 and $500, but in rare cases where the clash is prominent, the value could rise to $1,000 or more. 4. Die cracks or die chips. Die cracks or die chips are caused by cracks or pieces of the die breaking off, which transfer onto the coin during the striking process. For the 1982 D Washington quarter, die cracks or chips are typically worth between $10 and $50 for minor examples. However, when a crack or chip is significant and affects a prominent feature of the coin, such as Washington's portrait or the inscriptions, the value can increase to $100 or more. 5. Broad strikes. A broad strike occurs when a coin is struck outside of its collar, causing it to expand and become larger than usual. Broad strike errors on the 1982 D Washington quarter are relatively rare, but they can be valuable, especially if the coin's size and design are severely distorted. These errors typically range in value from $50 to $200, but extreme broad strikes with significant distortion can be worth $500 or more. 6. Misaligned dies. A misaligned die error occurs when the dies are not properly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be shifted or distorted. Minor misalignments usually don't add much value, but more significant misalignments that cause part of the design to be cut off or distorted can increase the coin's value to $50 to $200 or more. Conclusion. While the 1982 D Washington quarter is typically not a high-value coin in its standard condition, minting errors can make it quite valuable to collectors. The most sought-after error types for this coin include double die obverse, off-center strikes, clash dies, die cracks or chips, and broad strikes. Depending on the error severity and the coin's overall condition, these coins can be worth anywhere from a few dollars to several hundred or even a few $1,000s. If you suspect your 1982 D quarter has a minting error, it is recommended to have it professionally graded and authenticated by services like PCGS or NGC to ensure its value is properly determined. The 1974 D Washington quarter, minted in Denver, is a common coin in circulation. However, specific errors or varieties can make some examples highly valuable to collectors. Most rare and valuable 1974 D Washington quarter errors. 1. Double die obverse, DDO. Description: doubling on the obverse caused by a misaligned die. Identification: look for doubling on Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date 1974. Value: $100 to $1,000 plus, depending on the visibility of the doubling and the coin's grade. 2. Double die reverse, DDR. Description: doubling on the reverse design, such as in United States of America, E pluribus unum, or the eagle's feathers. Identification: doubling appears as a slight or strong shift in the lettering or eagle details. Value: $50 to $500, depending on prominence and condition. 3. Clipped planchette error. Description: a portion of the coin is missing due to a misaligned blanking punch. Identification: crescent-shaped or straight-edged missing sections on the coin's rim. Value: $30 to $200, depending on the size and shape of the clip. 4. Off-center strike error. Description: the coin is struck off-center, resulting in part of the design being incomplete. Identification: a blank portion on the coin, with the degree of misalignment varying. Value: $50 to $500, depending on the extent of the off-center strike. 5. Missing clad layer error. Description: one or both outer nickel layers are missing, exposing the copper core underneath. Identification: one side of the coin appears reddish or brown instead of the standard silver color. Value: $100 to $400, with higher values for better preserved examples. 6. Broad strike error. Description: the coin is struck outside the retaining collar, resulting in a larger diameter with no defined rim. Identification: the coin looks wider and lacks a clear rim. Value: $50 to $200, depending on size and condition. 7. Die cracks and cuds. Description: breaks or cracks in the die cause raised lines or blobs on the coin surface. Identification: typically found along the rim or in the eagle's design on the reverse. Value: $20 to $100, depending on the location and prominence of the crack or cud. 8. Wrong planchette error. Description: the coin is struck on a planchette intended for a different denomination, e.g., a nickel or dime, or a foreign coin. Identification: the coin's weight and size differ from standard quarters, and the design may be incomplete. Value: $2,000 to $5,000 or more, depending on the specific planchette used. 9. Struck through error. Description: foreign material, e.g., grease, debris, interferes during striking, leaving smooth or distorted areas. Identification: parts of the design are missing or appear faint. Value: $50 to $250, depending on the size and visibility of the error. The 1974 D Washington quarter has some intriguing error varieties that make it a compelling find for numismatists. The 1978 D Washington quarter, minted at the Denver Mint, is a significant coin in U.S. numismatics. While it is typically a common coin with a low face value, certain error varieties found in the 1978 D Washington quarter can greatly increase its value among collectors. These errors can turn an otherwise standard coin into a rare and highly sought-after piece. Below are the key errors found on the 1978 D Washington quarter and the values they can command in circulated conditions. 1. Double die obverse. The double die obverse error occurs when the coin is struck multiple times with slightly misaligned dies, resulting in a doubling of certain design elements. On the 1978 D Washington quarter, the doubling is most noticeable in the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust. Coins with visible double die errors can be valuable, with prices ranging from $50 to $200 for minor cases. In more pronounced cases, particularly with strong doubling, these coins can fetch $500 to $1,000 or more, depending on the demand and the condition of the coin. 2. Off-center strikes. An off-center strike occurs when the coin is struck off-center, resulting in part of the design being cut off or missing. For the 1978 D Washington quarter, off-center errors can range from $50 to $300 for mild cases where only a small portion of the design is missing. In more extreme cases, where the coin is struck off-center by more than 50%, the value could exceed $1,000 depending on the severity of the error. 3. Clash dies. A clash die error occurs when the dies strike each other without a coin, planchette, between them, causing parts of the design to transfer from one die to the other. On the 1978 D Washington quarter, these errors can lead to faint or visible impressions on the coin from the reverse die, e.g., the eagle design from the reverse side appearing on the obverse. Clash dies typically add $50 to $500 to the value of the coin, but rare or dramatic clashes can reach $1,000 or more. 4. Die cracks or die chips. Die cracks or die chips occur when cracks or pieces of the die break off, transferring onto the coin during the striking process. For the 1978 D Washington quarter, these errors can add a small premium to the coin's value. Minor die cracks may increase the coin's worth by $10 to $50, while more prominent cracks, particularly those affecting key parts of the design, such as the Washington portrait, can push the value to $100 or more. 5. Broad strikes. A broad strike happens when a coin is struck outside its collar, causing it to spread and distort. For the 1978 D Washington quarter, broad strike errors are less common but can add significant value, especially if the distortion is severe. These errors generally range in value from $50 to $200, with extreme examples fetching $500 or more, depending on the level of distortion and the condition of the coin. 6. Misaligned dies. Misaligned die errors occur when the dies are not properly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be shifted or distorted. While minor misalignments may not add much value, more significant misalignments where part of the design is cut off or distorted can increase the coin's value to $50 to $200 or higher. Conclusion. While the 1978 D Washington quarter in regular condition holds only nominal value, certain minting errors can significantly increase its worth. The most valuable error varieties include double die obverse, off-center strikes, clash dies, die cracks, and broad strikes. Depending on the severity of the error, these coins can be worth anywhere from a few dollars to hundreds or even thousands. For accurate valuation and to protect the value of error coins, it is highly recommended to have them professionally graded and authenticated by reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC.